Hey, everybody, welcome back to that 70s Card Show. My name is John Keating. I am running this here operation, and it's August of 2023. And what a difference a year makes, obviously, in anybody's life, but especially here and now for sure. So, August of 2022. I was pregnant with COVID. I had a certain glow about me, I was told at the National last year. Turns out, yeah, I got hit with COVID about a couple days after returning. Wiped me out for a week, wiped out my wife for a week, and but we survived and thrived. But when I came out of it, when I came to, after ignoring the DNR, I realized I was a little bitter with the hobby experience, the direction of the hobby, perhaps my place within the hobby, and didn't question whether I should continue my journey to collect every card ever made. But I certainly was wondering uh, if I should go deep cover again, down into the underground of the hobby, and just kind of go my own way. And anyway, a little mad at the industry, I guess, a little mad at other collectors for the way they were going about their business. Turns out it doesn't really matter. None of that matters. It's not my place, right? So, right now, August of 2023, I've got to say I have got a peaceful, easy feeling about me. And it's not something that normally happens with John Keating, that's for sure. Not the way I was brought up, not the way I was nurtured, or the nature I was given at birth. So, peaceful, easy feeling, 1972 Eagles song. Um, the band Eagles, by the way, highest selling album of all time in the United States of America, 38 million copies of their greatest hits. That peaceful, easy feeling, of course, was on that album. Maybe you know that, maybe you don't, but Michael Jackson is assumed to be the king of American music, but we know that band from Southern California, Eagles, rule the roost, as they say. Randy Meisner died July 26th of this year. He was 77 years old. Randy Meisner was the original bassist of the Eagles band, and Take It to the Limit was his big song. Great, great vocals there. So, why do I have a peaceful, easy feeling? I've come to realize I've had an epiphany, and I'm not angry anymore, as Ani DeFranco sang in the 1990s. I'm not angry anymore. I have a better understanding of others' place and rights within our common space of a hobby. Um, Even more accepting after this 2023 NSCC of the industry, I guess, as well. Saw a lot of industry stuff there on the floor of the convention center. Didn't really partake much, kind of passed through. It was an easy place to zip from one aisle to another, occasionally allowing my dogs to relax on a padded carpet. But I've said before, and a lot of people agree with the philosophy that if they never made another card again, it'd still be okay. And that's not for me to beat into other people's collecting habits, that's for sure. Uh, Typing away on my computer here because I just had a question I have to answer myself. Anyway, wonderful time at the National Convention of Sports Collector doofuses, of which I am one of them, and thrilled to have uh, taken part in this show, and made the trip. Was kind of on the fence about making the trip for many reasons. I had a busy early week, uh, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, prior to leaving for the big national show, so I was still on the fence on whether I should go. Um, but I went, and still, unaffected by many of the hobby happenings. I don't have my ear to the ground and all that fun stuff, but that's by design, I think. And there's people like me kind of off to the side that are still kind of clueless as to the days of this hobby. So I certainly believe you should collect what you want. I don't necessarily believe you should collect how you want, though, because I think that that impacts other people if you're going about it a certain way. So, yeah, I'm coming around. I think I turned the corner. I'm the grumpy guy, they say, but I think I realize now that uh, it's okay to collect whatever you want. I don't have to dictate that, and certainly, as usual, nobody has to listen to what I say, which I completely understand that more now than I did maybe a week and a half ago. For some reason, perhaps it was inside of me for a very long time, but it took me my experience last week to fully grasp it and understand it. The show itself was great. Uh, Another falsity that I've held on to is that the national convention is just another card show. Well, part of that, I think, is to kind of rally against the FOMO some people have by, uh, you know, fear of missing out on that show. This was my fourth national: 88 Atlantic City, 91 Anaheim, and 2022 Atlantic City. And I have to tell you, it was probably my favorite one coming out of it for sure. I think now I subscribe to the belief that everybody should attend this show once in their lifetime and do what they have to do so. Vacations, we spend a lot of money on vacations, and this can be a vacation for most hobbyists, and to get a really enjoyable time out of it, for sure. Come Talk to Me was a song off the Us album, Peter Gabriel, 1992. Now, this song, if you watch the Secret World Live video from that tour, probably the best theatrical opening number I've ever seen in a concert, and the closing number, Secret World, as well. Wonderful theatrics. Peter Gabriel never disappoints. But Sinead O'Connor sang the backing vocals in the album version, and kind of went out on the road for a little bit. But then, as we know, Sinead can be uh, a little mercurial. So didn't make it through the tour, and didn't make it quite all the way through life. She reached the finish line July 26th as well, at the age of 56, while we were in Chicago. Come Talk to Me is a song about communication, and I'm learning that as someone who has been shy and introverted and a loner throughout their life, I had to learn how to communicate in my early 20s in order to succeed at my line of work. So imagine going into a different town every day, into an arena, and meeting 12 new people that you needed to direct to get your job done, to get lighting trusses up in the air, cables run out, all that fun stuff. So I kind of learned how to play a role and become a communicator, but it's typically not something I enjoy in my personal life. Um, and I think I'm coming around there as well. Like I said, I've played a role for many years. I can talk to anybody about most anything. That's a trait that I got from my father. But I'd rather not talk at all, is what he's trying to say. But with that said, I've learned this past week and a half, or again, maybe it's been driven home this past week and a half, that talking to people about common interests is the key to uh, sort of the key to inner joy for me. I learned many people I got to meet over the past or the days I was at the national convention. Uh, I learned a lot about myself. I learned how to let go and not play a role and just be myself. Maybe talking to other people can be fun, and talking to collectors certainly is fun. Now, rolled into the YouTube um, shindig Thursday night and did a half of a lap around the perimeter, expecting to do a full lap to the other staircase and skedaddle out of there. But something told me to make a right turn and get into the thick of things. And thankfully, I was able to talk to a couple people that said they listened to the show. Brian, I'm not going to give anybody's last names here, but Brian is a listener to the show, and we've exchanged some gifts. Very thankful to have spent time to talk to him about his interests. He's got some very unique interests, or at least one particular player, which is kind of cool. And my friend Drew from Nebraska, we've been in communication for a while. Drew's got a show um, called Queen Cheap Shots on YouTube. He just kind of started up recently, but Drew and I spoke at length. He gave me a few presents or gifts, which I'll show here in a few minutes, and thoroughly enjoyed getting my feet wet by talking to them. They made me feel comfortable. And then, of course, I was joined later on by some other people that kind of make it fun to chat about cards. I met Dean Gearhart in person. If you know me, you know that I appreciate the way Dean collects and his show and all that stuff. So met Dean and his wife. Really enjoyed that. And then got to talk to a couple other people. Of course, Eric from those back pages. He'll come up later on here. Dylan, I saw Dylan all the way there from Hawaii Way. Other people there as well. Lots of people I didn't get to talk to. I shook hands with Ziggy, but we didn't get to sit down and talk. Ziggy and I have a lot in common. Ziggy kind of beats the drum for the hobby checks and balances, and I'm completely on board with that. So wanted to spend more time with him, but we'll catch up some other time. So many people there at their event and throughout the event. And the event, I mean the whole national. I got to talk to people about fun stuff, silly stuff. Still don't have an answer to my question of who the greatest Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher is of all time. I put Theo on the spot with that, and there's no conclusive answer yet. So a couple people I met, Zach and Porter, of course. Good to see them. Steph and Angela at ComC. They run Ragged in ComC. ComC has a small but mighty booth, and accepting their submissions into their system. And quite a lot of work they're doing. Ed, Safe and Home Sports Cards. Ed and I were staying at the same hotel, so Ed and I rode in every day for the most part. Met Scott at the hotel during breakfast too. Scott thanked me for my shoddy work here on that 70s card show. All sorts of people again. Met Don, Mike Junkwax Hero, Moynihan, of course, Danny Black, Eric Forleaf. We talked on the floor for a while with Stoff. Eric Forleaf and I are Eskimo brothers now because we acquired the same card there. Dom, Maiko, again, Dylan, Scott from Reindeer Studios, all that fun stuff. So it was great meeting people and seeing people. And it's as if you know people, which is kind of cool. Even if you haven't met them, you know them because they bear their souls on their programs or in comments or whatever. So anyway, what an enjoyable time it was to talk to people. My only regret from the show was an event Friday night at the Lowe's. I went with Scott and Don. I'm sorry, Eric and Don. Eric from those back pages, and I think we got there a little bit too early. There was a table of I think Don was there, a couple other people, James, lead hunter. My regret was that I didn't introduce myself to the folks and kind of break the ice and stick around because it was quite an event from what I hear. But I did the old Irish goodbye and got out of there. So still have to learn to get better at meeting people, putting myself out there, all that fun stuff. Now, that's not why you tuned in here. I don't know why you tuned in here, to tell you the truth, but I do appreciate that. Again, the show is great. It's not just a card show. AC did not hurt anybody, did not do any permanent damage. Um, People bought cards, people looked at cards, and I got out of there one day. I must have sweat off 10 pounds. I know you can't tell. Must have sweat off 10 pounds, but boy, I was so happy the first day walking out of there, regardless of the heat. So had a good time. They could do better with the national, and I'm sure they will. Aisles are still too small in certain parts, but wonderful, wonderful, joyous time. So talked to another pal of mine on Facebook, and he asked me a couple questions, and I'm going to kind of keep that personal, but Rob, I'm talking to you out in Colorado, but I do have a lot of positive thoughts on the future of the hobby. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens beyond uh, 2023 and 2024. So I'm going to get into the cards. Okay, I'm going to mess around with my computer here, and here is my little card can. Again, Drew from Nebraska, clean, cheap shots. Nice sticker there. Drew also gave me a slab holder, which is kind of pretty darn awesome. And a couple other things. I'm working on my 53 top set. So he gave me three cards: Bob Adams, Roy McMillan, and Ed Arout. That's a PSA 5. I'm completely blown away by your generosity, Drew. Of course, we got some wrappers, and I don't mean Vanilla Ice or Snow or Little Nasdaqs. I'm talking about baseball card wrappers. So a whole bunch of different old Tops wrappers. I will never turn down wax wrappers. And I think he gave them out to a couple other people, which is kind of cool at the Thursday night get together. Also, a couple magazines. Here's a sport magazine from 1983 that declares the best player in baseball. And of course, that guy right there is declared the best baseball player in the sport. So nice little 1988 Dwight Evans here as well, Sports Illustrated. So thank you for that, Drew. Drew also got me an RC Cola. Hold on a second. Let me get that. Now this was the big one for me. It's a nice RC Cola Carl Yastrzemski can. Drew had sent me a picture from an antique shop out there in Indian Territory in Nebraska, and I said, "Yep, I need that." I have a couple of the Mark Hoyle giving me, but no Yaz's, so got myself a Yaz RC now, and it was over there with the other RC Cola boxes. So Dan from Korea came over. He crossed the international date line, which is pretty scary. I think you need to. I don't know. You cross the international date line to go back in time. But he was going around with a box of cards, and I'll talk about Dan here a little bit later on. But like a kind of a grab bag of cards. I originally pulled out a 1989 Gary Sheffield, which I have 30 of. But then Rich Klein pulled out a Freddie McGriff Leaf 86, and I needed the Leaf, so now I have the Leaf. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, Rich. Appreciate that. Mike, he's that Junk Wax hero. I've been working on my 59 Ted Williams set, so Mike Junk Wax hero just gave me, sorry about the light there, gave me 5 of these 59 Fleers. Now, I love the 59 Fleers. I love the backs. If you look there, you can see the little crown that's on the all those Fleer cards, and we'll talk about Fleer too in a minute. But Three Stooges cards have the same crown on the back, same year, same kind of uh, card layout or color layout as the 59 Fleer Three Stooges card as well. Bo, he's with 1 million Cubs. He gave me 4 Carly Yastrzemski, 72 in action, the 73 tops, the 68 tops game, and the 68 tops All Stars. So thank you, Bo. Appreciate that. Now, Carly Yastrzemski is one of those rare individuals that has a card with his puzzle on the back, I guess. That's pretty sexy, huh? That's what happens when you win the Triple Crown. People make puzzles with your face. Here's John Wade Boggs fan with Wade Boggs, who I consider to be perhaps the greatest greatest post career athlete in the hobby. He's got a couple of really big fans, and he sure does not play rock star amongst those fans. He treats those fans great, which I think is awesome. Let's get back to Scott. Scott gave me these two original artwork cards, Hank Aaron and Chrissy Mathewson. Big Six and 44, of course, 44. Henry Louis Aaron. I have love these cards. So Scott, what a talent, what a guy, wonderful, wonderful, uh, wonderful gift you've given to the whole community, knowing that we're not only can we collectively collect cards, but we can create card art and beautiful works of art. And I say we, I mean you, but we're taking credit. Zach and Porter, 1994. Ted Williams, Mike Schmidt, complete subset, which is pretty wow. Mike Schmidt, of course, the greatest third baseman in baseball history. Threw some Yaz cards in there that I didn't have. I love that. Love all the Yaz cards. Bob Gibson, 2011 Goodwood champions. And then there's a flurry of Phillies cards, which I had not had. Um, I guess only two of them I think I did have. So a stack of Phillies cards, modern. This is 76. Rod Carew, who some people say was the 70s version of Tony Gwynn or Wade Boggs. 71 Yastrzemski as well. So thank you, Zach Porter. It was a pleasure hanging with you too. And wonderful continuation of our friendship. Cub Vic, he's a couch person. And we had a couch people get together, and Vic got me this wonderful Dr. J Sportsies. Dr. J, of course, if you were in Philadelphia in the late 70s and early 80s, he was everybody's hero in Philly. So love that. Can't wait to hang that up, Vic. Appreciate that. And Vic gave me some junk wax Phillies. That's, what is it, Dr. Dirt, Mr. Clean, or something like that. It's that. A nice, I think it's an 80. Kellogg Schmitty didn't have that. Here's another one of those Schmidt Ted Williams. Here's a Deion Sanders San Francisco Giants card. Kenneth Gainwell rookie card from the Eagles, and some old football from the late 60s, which I, as you see in a minute here, I'm crazy about that stuff. So I appreciate that. Vic didn't have any of those. This is a Robin Roberts, Ted Williams from, I think, 93, 64, George Altman. Look at this old school Mike Schmidt card from Dayton. I guess that's a high school card right there, which is cool. Another Schmitty Stadium Club. And Steve Carlton, he's from Mars. That's his 81 Kellogg's Cornflakes card or whatever it is. Another Mike Schmidt card. Here's a Schmidt archives card from a few years back, which is a different picture, obviously, than his 74 first year solo card. So, and then Vic threw in a wonderful 1992 Donruss pack. And Vic came up with something else, which kind of blew me away here. And I'm going to look at that and show you guys. It's a ticket stub from Dodger Stadium. Okay. So it's a Dodger Stadium ticket stub. Let me see if I can bring up some information on this game. Pretty fascinating, truth be told, if you ask me. So this game was played on July 27th, 1966, in front of 44,937 souls at the Dodger Stadium. Game time was 3 hours, 34 minutes. You know why? It was a night game. It was on grass, but it was an extra inning game. So among the folks playing in that game was Dick Allen. He hit a home run for the Phillies, went 2 for 5. Bob Uecker was the starting catcher for the Phillies, and then there was a whole bunch of other people. For the Dodgers, you had Maury Wills, Willie Davis, Johnny Roseboro, Wes Parker. He was great in the Brady Bunch. Jim Gilliam was there, and amongst other people. Starting pitchers were Jim Bunning versus Sanford Koufax. Okay, Jim Bunning went 11 innings, gave up 6 hits and 1 earned run, struck out 12, lowered his ERA to 2.48. He didn't get a decision in that game because the game went 12 innings. Starting pitcher for the Dodgers went 11 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 run, struck out 16. That 1 run was a Dick Allen home run, as we say. Lowered his ERA to 1.65. The winner of that game in 12 innings was Phil Reagan. Went going 8-1, and Darrell Knowles dropped to 6-4 for the Phillies. So Jim Bunning versus Sanford Koufax. Starting pitchers struck out a total of 28 in that game. So pretty cool piece of history there, Vic. I appreciate it. I don't know whether that was your intention, but man, I'm blown away by this. I'm going to find a very, very special place for this ticket in my setup here, and can't thank you enough, man. That was a wonderful gift. 65 Tops football. He gave me 4 of those guys. All right. So if you know anything about football cards, um, probably the toughest set to collect. I think if you wanted to get one of these in good condition or near mint condition, it costs you about $10,000, which is twice as much as what it would cost you to pick up the 58 Tops, which is Jim Brown's rookie season. So Joe Namath, of course, is the big gun in here. But these things, man, I don't have any of these. So these were the first 4 of those, and quite amazing. Here's the back. I love 60s and 70s or 60s and 50s football cards. Just cuckoo for these cards. They're just absolutely amazing. So that was it. That was the rack from my friends, my dear friends and acquaintances that I appreciate. And let's get on to the pickups from the show, shall we? So here's a bunch of Evil Knievel cards. Uh, I loved Evil Knievel as a kid. Evil Knievel and Kiss were the only things that came close to baseball in my mind. So there's a bunch of Evil Knievel cards there. They're beaters, and the guy wanted like $2 a pop. I got him for like a buck a pop, which is still too much. But Evil Knievel broke every bone in your body and every bone in his body. So he would land so hard that your bones would break. Uh, great, great time. My first Evil Knievel cards, 1966 Batman cards. I picked up a handful of those too. Almost bought a whole set, but I figured it'd be more fun to collect them individually. So I got myself some blues and some reds. Look at that Batman card. Come on. Who doesn't want that? Batman I used to watch religiously every day coming home when coming home from school. So yeah, that's that. Let's talk a little bit about the very first thing I got or opened, and that was from Eric from those back pages. 1975 Panini Pop Stars Pink Floyd card. Sorry about the light, but it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous slab SGC4. Pink Floyd's the greatest band ever, and I have smaller Panini cards, regular size. This is a monster, and this will look great in my card cave. So thank you for that. Appreciate that, Eric. That was above and beyond. Just so you guys and gals know, this is my book that I carry around. And of course, it had my hit list on it and individual checklists that I'm trying to knock out. Boy, I got a lot of ways to go there. So I was able to complete 4 sets total in Chicago this year. 2 oddball sets and 2 other non-baseball sets. So the 67, these are the 67 Tops posters. So I picked up the rest of that set there. They come in these big top loaders. They cost, they're not that expensive. They cost a couple bucks. And the funny part is I had one dealer that was going to charge me $4 if I took the top loaders, but $2 if I didn't. So these things just fold up into regular penny sleeves. So I said, you know what? You can keep your top loaders. I'll take the posters for $2. So 67, that's done. And not to be outdone by that, the 1970 poster set, which is a little bit bigger and much bigger and bigger top loaders. These top loaders are about $3 each. So finished that set. So there's a Seattle Pilots player for those kids who know their history And that's that. How about that? We got ourselves the 70 tops posters inserts. These fold down as well. So again, I was able to travel those home in top loaders, so not too bad. Couple 1960 Leafs. Well, first of all, I got a couple more 53s. These are not what I paid in price. It says $6, but there was a guy offering 20% off, and he took like another 30% off of that. So I've got about two-thirds of the 1953 top set at this point. Most of the big bangers I have done. A few of them I need to get, so I'll be hitting that hard. This is the 60 Leaf set, and these are a fun little set because they came with marbles. So if you're really into your conditioning, maybe this isn't the set for you because a lot of these have some dings and knocks in them. These three don't, but fun little set there. It's going to take a while because high numbers there can be brutal. I'm told by my friends that are smarter than I. Another fun set, 60 Fleer set. Again, the background of the Fleers with that crown, all that fun stuff. These have a lot of heavy hitters in them. All the big boys are in there. So I probably have about 60 to 70% of this set after this trip. So yeah, more of that stuff. Sam Rice, Ted Lazzari, Wilbert Robinson, Al Simmons, Alois Simmons. And then another set I finished was the 1959 Tops football set. So 59 Tops football's done. Fun little set. There's a Ginger, Tom Tracy, uh, Bobby Lane, Johnny Sample. He was a Philly radio guy. Y.A. Tittle and Bart Starr. Big ones there. So finished that set. Next set off the list was the the 1960 Tops football set. There's Tom Tracy again. He's still a Ginger in 1960. Sam Baker. These are just beautiful cards. I will tell you every day of the week if the baseball cards looked as good as the football cards back then, although 1960 was nice. But you see how they mimicked the alternating letters on some of these names. Kind of did the same thing on a 60 baseball. But just great cards. Proverb Jacobs. Nobody names your kid Proverb anymore. Nobody names your kid Buzz Nutter either, surprisingly. Ollie Matson. Just fun stuff. Alan Amici, all that stuff. Sam Huff was a big one. Johnny U was a big one. And Jim E. Brown, another big one. So 1960 Tops set complete. Thanks to that. Here's a 1960 Golden Press Eddie Collins. That's a set that I flirted with buying in its entirety at times, but never quite was able to get a good deal on. A couple of Yaz cards, I already had them, but I think I had them in panel form, so now I have them in individuals for the binder. And 55 Tops, just a stack full of 55 pseudo commons, some high numbers in there, stuff like that. So probably right now, I think I'm above 80% of that set done. That may be my next set done, but I need some big hitters in there. I need all the big hitters in 55 Tops. All right, moving on. Next, a couple big cards here for me. So Dan from Korea said you got to go over to this one booth, which is all Japanese cards, and I'm like, I have got nothing in common with the Japanese NPB. I think it is Nippon Professional Baseball. Anyway, I was able to talk to Bob and Rob there, who I was introduced to by Dan. And surprisingly, I do want a Sadaharu O. And I know a lot of folks came home last year with the O cards, but I figured it was my time to take the plunge. And one other guy surprised me by saying he listened to the show. I think that was Rob, which surprised me because they don't talk about Japanese baseball at all. But anyway, I was able to buy a card there, and it is a PSA 6, 1975-76 Calby Sadaharu O. If you look at this card, you can see that Sadaharu O is at bat. He's got his front leg up, ready to kick and swing, and it says OH on the back and number one. Ichiban is what they say, number one over there in Japan. So I have my Sadaharu O. He gave me a steep discount Bob did, and then he gave me a Korean cardboard discount on top of that. So I did pretty well there. So Sadaharu, oh, welcome to the display cases here in the card cave. Next up, we have a card that I was out for three of these things, either the T205, the T206, or the Rambly. It's a gentleman named Germany Schaefer. So I got the T205 gold border um, card, and it's a Piedmont back. If you're paying attention to that stuff, it's my second T205 gold border. I have the Christian Gentleman as well, Christy Mathewson. Bought this raw. I said that raw uh, for probably 30 bucks from Stan. Stan's from Ohio. He's an engineer, and him and his wife sell cars everywhere. Seen him in Philly, seen him at the National a couple times. So bought this raw, submitted it to PSG. PSG is Parents Saint Germain. That's a soccer team. SGC. I bought it because that's these cars only belong to SGC labels. Anyway, I'll talk to you a little bit about Germany Schaefer. I told the story a couple times to folks at the National, but I may have screwed it up. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs here, so stick with me. Glory of Their Times, which is a wonderful book. The first time I heard this story is from his teammate Davy Jones, who I believe plays center field with Ty Cobb. They didn't get along. So anyway, in that story, in that book, with runners on first and third, a common ploy in baseball at the time was an attempted double steal, in which the runner heading from first, in this case Schaefer, ran for second, hoping to draw a throw from the catcher as the runner on third tried to scamper home. The catcher did not throw the first time, inspiring Schaefer to steal first base in reverse, and then attempt a double steal once more on the following pitch. It worked, in Jones's recollection, although factual evidence of this is lacking. So on August 9th, 1911, Schaefer tried the same stunt again, this time for the Washington Senators, inspiring the Chicago White Sox manager Hugh Duffy to come out of the dugout and protest. With the chaos on the field, Clyde Millen attempted to steal home, where he was thrown out. This event was recorded by both the Washington Post and the Chicago Tribune on the following day. Although it was not passed until 1920, after Schaefer's death, the baseball rule states that a player is out if, after he has acquired legal possession of a base, he runs the bases in reverse order for the purpose of confusing the defense or making a travesty of the game. The umpire shall immediately call time and declare the runner out. It is often said that it was passed because of Schaefer's theft. Schaefer, Germany Schaefer, changed his name during World War II to Liberty Schaefer uh, to avoid any kind of allegiant issues um, in the Great War. So that's Germany Schaefer. I still want to get the T205, still want to get the Rambly. It's amazing how many people know about these cards out there. I approached the gentleman that had a lot of Ramblies, and he's like, "Yep, I know what you're talking about." Dug. He couldn't find one, so I could not find a Rambly. So next up, we have a player that most of you have never heard of, but most of you may understand the legacy. I have Z-Nut cards of Ray Keating. I also have um, the 1914 blankets. There's two varieties for Ray Keating. Obviously, I collect Ray Keating because we share our last name, but I have the 1926 Z-Nut, and I was able to pick up three more at the show here. So this is 1920 Z-Nut. These are Pacific Coast League cards. This is the 27 Z-Nut, and this is the 28 Z-Nut. I think there's a couple more that I need, 29 and 30 or 29 and 31. Now, the gentleman I bought these from, I was walking out on Friday, and about a half hour before the show floor closed, I passed and saw all these black and white sepia tone cards. So he whipped out his book, and he had a whole list of stuff he had. So I got a baseball reference so that we knew. We're actually back at OPG so that we knew what cards he had and what year. And anyway, we made a deal. Was able to get all three of these. May get them slabbed, and may keep them in these mag safes. I don't know, but they're beautiful, beautiful cards. Z-Nuts, 20, 27, and 28. Interestingly, I made a bid on this 1920 Z Nut on the eBay store probably about 6 months ago, and it's that gentleman who I bought this from. He goes, "Yeah, I have that up there," and I turned down your offer. So he's a dentist. He's from Idaho. He's a collector of Z Nuts, and these are all his doubles or duplicates. So wonderful, wonderful addition to my collection, my Ray Keating collection. I'll read you a little bit about Ray Keating here. On September 12th, 1914, during a game between the Philadelphia Athletics and the New York Yankees, Philadelphia's Eddie Collins struck out against Ray Keating of the Yankees in the first inning. Suspicious of how Keating made his pitches move, Collins did not swing at a pitch in the second at bat. After Collins struck out for the second time, he asked the home plate umpire, Tom Conley, to inspect the ball. Conley took the ball and found it to be scuffed. He inspected Keating's glove and found a piece of emery paper inside. Connolly sent two scuffed balls and a piece of emery paper to Van Johnson, the president of the American League. Johnson declared that players caught using the emery ball would face a $100 fine and a 30-day suspension. That's $2,922 in current money, by the way. James A. Gilmore barred its use in the Federal League in 1915, also mandating a 30-day suspension, but with a $200 fine. The National League also barred its use. Umpires began taking scuffed balls out of play, which doubled the number of baseballs required for a game. Following the discovery of the emery ball, Griffith began to call for outlawing the spitball, which occurred after the 1919 season. In the rules of baseball, Rule 8.02 parentheses 6 specifically bars what is called the shine ball, spitball, mud ball, or emery. So you can thank a Keating for that. Pitchers, young and old. Incidentally, I've told the story of sitting in the stands in the mid to late '80s and seeing Kevin Gross with the Phillies kicked out of a game, not knowing why until I got home. He had some sandpaper in his glove. So my final pickup, and you may not call this a big banger, but I will certainly tell you that it is. This is the 1964 top stand-up Carl Yastrzemski. Um, so that card right there is probably the last of the normal Yaz cards I needed to get. So I collected the tops playing days run of Yastrzemski. I had them all as he retired. So then you start getting the oddball stuff, and that's probably the biggest of those, other than the rare items, which we can talk about maybe. Yastrzemski is sneaky for those that collect them. I'm going to put the old cup here. I'm going to get this to the closest to the camera. So Yaz is one of those folks that outside of Austin is still highly collectible, but by kind of a subversive bunch of folks like myself. Sneaky, expensive sometimes, and I'll put it this way: out of that whole show right there, I can tell you that I only knew of two players that had entire tables dedicated to their work. Um, Roberto Clemente, I think I found one or two at the most, and then there's this guy right here, and I've seen that at a couple shows where there's or a table just with the as items. So this 64 stand up is I have the manual from that year in the Clemente and the K line and the Killebrew. I have a lot of cards, the 64 stand ups, but this is a short print. It's the last card, and I looked at it on Friday. There was a 4 for $575. I offered 5, and the dealer said no, and rightfully so, because they're hard to find. Next day, I found this one, and it said 450 on the back, and I offered the dealer 4, and he said, "No way, I'm into it way more than that." And then he flipped it over and realized that it said 450 on the back, and then he made the deal. So I paid $400 for that. I think it's in fine condition. I may get it slabbed. It might be the best looking stand up that I have. It's certainly better than my Mantle or my Clemente. So anyway, that kind of brings to a conclusion that part of my Yaz collecting journey. there are so many hard to get yes things like the big deckle edges, the puzzle, and all that stuff. And I know a couple people that picked up some really cool Yaz items that are way oddball and way off the wall. So I guess I have to decide whether I'm going to hop into that pool and dig deeper into the old bank account to make that happen. But anyway, 64 Yaz top stand up, huge deal for me, and thoroughly excited about that. So that's it. That was my big move. That was my big week into the whole collecting thing. I started rambling on the beginning, but it's fun to evolve and learn and better oneself. I'm not telling anybody to do that, but I can admit when I've been wrong. And I was wrong about the hobby for the most part. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable to share with other people. I know we say that or hear that all the time, but I got a pretty thick head, so it's taken me a while to get to that point. I'm not going to be inviting everybody over to my birthday parties, but I will say that I enjoy talking to people about cards, and I look forward to talking to more people about cards in the future. Look forward to talking and connecting with the people that I didn't get to this time around. Hopefully, we can do that either on the air or in person. So, anyway, that's it. That's my boring week. And hope you guys and gals had a great time. If you went to the National or whatever you were doing, get out there, go see one of those shows. I think the National should be held in Chicago every year. Let's stop, as my father used to say, pussyfooting around and just make it happen because there's no need for all this nonsense. National Chicago every year, just make that the thing, and away we go. Anyway, enjoy collecting, of course, and more importantly, please enjoy your collection. Later, Gators. Bye.